I'm Beth Bailey, and I'm with Community Mediation and Restorative Services, one of the dispute resolution programs in Minnesota. And this is my community mediation moment. I thought I would share not so much a particular project that we're working on, but this journey that I have been on, being a part of this community mediation community or field. And I started back in the early 1990s, so have been at it for a while. And I want to share a little bit about how NAFCM has played such an important role for me at different moments on this journey. So I went through mediation training, first in St. Louis, Missouri, and then several years later in Minnesota. And one of the things that mediators are trained in is this concept of neutrality. And we know that we have these two, what always felt like competing ideas, that as a community mediation center, our target and our mission was about influencing the community, but we did that by serving individuals. And if we served thousands and thousands of individuals but had no impact on our community, then we were failing at our mission. That we were different than private practitioner mediators because we were couched in the community. Our mission was about community. And then I remember having an opportunity to attend a training for new staff and new executive directors sponsored by NAFCM. They took this training around different regions of the country. Absolutely fabulous experience to be able to get me focused on community, because I was moving from being a mediator to a trainer of mediators to now I'm the executive director of a community mediation. And it's different. It's different, and what your mission is and what your options are is different when you're directing the Community Mediation Center. So that was a first fabulous experience provided by NAFCM that let me know that I was part of this much larger movement across not only the United States and Canada, but globally. That was an exciting thing. And then to be able to have that foundation of we're about community. So that was an early on experience. And then a few years later, I had the opportunity to read a book that was published by NAFCM by Paul Warhoftig. So I read this book by Paul Warhoftig, and I remember specifically there being this little footnote about Liberian processes. And we happen to be in a community that has a huge Liberian and West African diaspora populations. So that got my attention, and started learning from some of the West African members of our community about this part of the origins of the community mediation movement, and realized that here were communities that didn't have police departments, didn't have courts. So the mechanisms for resolving dispute and the mechanisms for addressing harm, they happened within the community, of and by the community. When I asked how it happened, I remember being told it was usually the town crier that would go around and bring people together. It wasn't something that was scheduled. It's like, we're going to have this conversation now. And the elder or the chief of that community played a significant role. And then in reading Paul Warhoftig's book, I also learned that the first 3 community mediation centers were born at a conference that was about addressing the racial disparities in our judicial system. And these ideas came together, both this West African concept and this concept of mediation. So we have in our origin story a context of civil rights. I so appreciate this NAFCM community. We absolutely need to have a voice on that national level, and NAFCM does that. But maybe even more importantly to me, it's that wealth of collective wisdom among our centers. And I know I can reach out to NAFCM, and I do frequently, saying we're thinking about doing this, or we're running into this issue. Can you introduce me to somebody in the NAFCM community that's a few steps ahead of us, so that we can accelerate our learning on this. I love being able to be paired up and be able to tap into the collective wisdom of NAFCM. I love that there is an organization that is amplifying the voice of what we do. I love knowing that we're not here alone, that we are part of a much, much larger movement. So I was just meeting with somebody yesterday who was starting a mediation, and I told them, or starting a mediation organization, and I said, you're going to have to check out NAFCM. Don't try and do this alone. You're going to want to check out NAFCM. And then we have our statewide association in Minnesota, and NAFCM pushed us and nudged us and supported us in creating a statewide association, recognizing that those mediation centers that are operating in states that have a statewide association have a little more stability and durability. Oh, again, thank you to NAFCM for that nudge.